Welcome back to the Diversity Project. I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and today we are talking about financial investments. Financial investments is not really a one-size-fits-all. And, as for those that know me, my financial strength is in the real estate market. We just had Charlie Weinraub, the handsome home buyer. He was just on as one of our guests talking a little bit about the real estate market and strategies. We had Marguerite McGinnis on talking about annuities and, really why somebody would choose an annuity, what makes somebody, right for an annuity product. But, I now have in studio somebody that I respect tremendously. His name is Mitchell Goldberg of Client First Strategy. And Mitchell and I have, we've spoken many times, and he's got just an amazing amount of information. And you're an educator.
That's right.
And I say it like that because you love to give information and updates and talk about the markets and strengths. And not a lot of people want to put their opinion and their voice out there. So tell us a little bit about what you do, your position at Client First Strategy, and what kind of people you serve.
Thank you for that very generous introduction.
You're a good guy.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing, and the whole diversity project is great. And I love how it's just educational. And listen, so we'll segue to me now, okay?
Yeah,
with education.
It's all about you right now.
I give a lot of value, and it turns out I enjoy it, and it turns out that there is really, to me, no better marketing strategy than giving value. Yeah. A lot of people are afraid to give value. Well, I don't want to give away my secrets. I don't want to give away what I do because people might not need me. So what you want to do is forget that whole line of thinking. You want to give value, and you want to maintain a presence so that when people have a need for somebody like me, I'll be top of mind awareness. But the education starts at the beginning, it goes to the middle, it goes to the end, and it never stops because I'm always learning too. No one knows it all. Yeah. And if 2020 has taught us anything, there is a lot more to learn and even more we didn't know probably than we do know.
Yeah, I think a lot of, again, you have your podcasts. I see you on LinkedIn Live. I see you guest speaking in other platforms. And I think what makes you stick out compared to other advisors that I know is you're not afraid to speak. And a lot of people that I know, they're afraid of compliance. And I think that because of that, I'm sorry. It was like,
no, I don't mind. It's an excuse is what it is.
But what happens, I will speak to people and I'll say, hey, I'm working on this. Oh, I have to check with compliance. I value and respect that. However, there's still people in the public that need to know, again, what's happening. And I feel like you report that in your platforms, whether, again, it's the LinkedIn, your podcast, or being a guest, your write-ups, your articles. There's so much that you do to give value to the community. So what I'd love for you to talk about today a little bit is our stock market. I'm not a big fan of the stock market. I'm afraid of it. But talk to me a little bit about the stock market and, where somebody would start if they were thinking about investing.
The stock market is like this mysterious thing that takes your money, burns it in the furnace, and then tells you, thank you for playing. You didn't win a prize. Try again. Well, I could see how it is like that to a lot of people because we're so focused on what's going on now. And when we want to learn about the stock market, you open up the newspaper, you read the latest articles, and just so everybody knows, everyone knows this already, bad news sells very well. It keeps you pulled in all the time. Mm-hmm. But the stock market essentially is a way for anybody to invest in the success of brilliant managers like Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Steve Jobs, and now Tim Cook of Apple, Elon Musk, who's just amazing what he has accomplished. And that to me is what the stock market does. It gives you the opportunity to participate in the growth of the best that we have in America and in the world, in fact, because the stock market is a global phenomena. It's not just here. So there's international investing. And some people like to invest in index funds, but they just have to say that you cannot invest directly into an index. But you could invest in a security that tracks or mimics an index. You see how I work that compliance angle into it?
I like that.
Like it just flows naturally, okay? But I think for most people, the way to start is just, broad-based index investing based on your time horizon, your risk tolerance. Most people have no idea what their time horizon is or their risk tolerance means. A lot of people don't know what that is. So what I just like to say is the longer you have, the more risk you could take.
Sure.
So you could invest in a portfolio of index funds or stock mutual funds or exchange traded funds, which all more or less are going to accomplish the same thing with the same growth potential and the same potential for risk. And then you have to pick which ones are right for you. Some are riskier than others, or some show risk at different times, and that's why you want to be diversified. So diversification, that's a strategy that we use to minimize risk, but it doesn't necessarily protect your account from going down in a generally down market. So I worked that in there, that little compliance angle.
I like that.
So what that means is you buy different kinds of investments. So maybe domestic, maybe international, maybe stocks, maybe bonds, and you mix it up.
Now, if I'm a consumer and I'm looking to get involved, I don't know what I'm looking at. Is that why I have you as my advisor?
Yes.
And then tell me, and again, I can say this because of the fact of my relationship with you. I know how valuable you are, but there are people out there that might be intimidated. And that's the word that I'm going to use. It might be intimidated by speaking to somebody like you. So they say, well, I found this online app I know about. I'm not going to name some of them, but there's an online app I could use.
We could name them. I mean, I don't mind naming them if you don't mind.
So,
there's Robinhood.
I was just going to say, so Robinhood. That's
the big one. There's Webull. There are a whole bunch of them. And there are versions of Robinhood, not necessarily Robinhood itself, but they're all over the world now. They're in India, they're in Europe, they're all over. It's not just Robinhood in the United States.
Is there a time where somebody comes to you where they're not the right fit and you may direct them to start there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell me about what makes somebody your client?
Well, the kind of person who's my client is someone who wants more than just investing. Investing is just one element, one part of the puzzle.
Okay.
But the rest of the puzzle goes like this. I need to get to know somebody, so I need somebody to be very forthright, very open with me, so I can basically create the picture. You know what's the most important part of the puzzle? The picture on the box.
Of course, because
so
it's our cheating mechanism.
Yeah, so I need to get the picture, and then I can see where the investments fit in.
Sure.
Where the planning fits in, where the goals fit in, where the self-defeating behaviors come in, where the strategies come in to avoid or reduce self-defeating mechanisms. And you start to put together a plan and a profile for a client. And then it's just a matter of executing and monitoring. I think the best part of a financial plan, of any plan, is they get you to take the first step. The first step is the most important step. And even if the second step is not what you anticipate, at least you're moving forward. At least you're taking steps.
Yeah.
And you're learning. Investing, to me, financial planning, it's a journey to me. It's like you really get to know yourself, because money is so intertwined in our life.
Well, it's emotional. I tell people all the time, because look what I do. It's personal and it's emotional. We've worked for it. It wasn't just handed to us. So we are so nervous that we're going to make the wrong choices, unfortunately.
And that's why people become risk averse. But you have to take a step. And I think one of the reasons you would use, and not just many people in my profession, is to help avoid making mistakes and save time and effort to get to where you want to go in terms of your goals.
So is there a minimum requirement when somebody's getting involved?
I think the minimum, for me, no. I don't see the point of having a minimum requirement. In fact, I don't actually have like a firm minimum, because a lot of my clients started out as my best friends from college who have done very well for themselves. And, I'm glad I never said something like, oh, wait till your account is bigger. I was happy to get the business, and I was happy that a friend trusted me so much to help them with their finances.
So that you're there to help them grow. We are going to have to cut it short, but if you're okay, I'm going to have you stick around for a few more minutes. We do need to just go to a quick commercial break. You are listening to The Diversity Project. I'm your host, Rhonda Kulch. We are here right now with Mitchell Goldberg of Client First Strategy, talking about different ways that you could diversify your portfolio. Predominantly right now, we're talking about the stock market. Programs like this cannot take place without our program sponsors. So we'd like to thank the Equity First Foundation, Jet Direct Mortgage, Indigo Restaurant in Patchogue Village, and Exit New York Metro Realty. Stay tuned.